Oh, hi. I was just setting up the KiiNjA kinetic system, looking at some of the things that been doing over the last few days with the system. Over here are the extractors, 2 extractors, 3 collectors, but there's actually a 4th one hidden in the back for looking at keeping the water and looking for terpenes and other volatiles. One of the things they like to do is always checking before an extraction or after an extraction. I always like to have a ladder because I've got to look inside to be able to, oh, wait a minute. I actually don't need the ladder. You can actually turn it so I can see what's in it. And without any tools, being able to know that I've got a clean vessel set for the next extraction, and then being ready to put it back in place. And then from there, locking it in place, going back over to the controls, putting it back in. Because the system won't run unless everything is totally connected. So everything's got the pneumatics and everything's set. We've been doing some experiments here over the last few days, looking at how to move through not only plant material but also oil material, being able to run liquids as well as being able to run biomass, and taking different cuts of the 3 different fractions. So a lot of people look towards what you're seeing in any point along the way of an extractor. So the extractors that set at different conditions on the retrograde, so you're extracting at one pressure and temperature, you're collecting at different disparate temperatures, and this system allows you to go down to at least 5 degrees C on your first collector, so you're able to collect it at a very cold temperature, then moving over to what we had on this one, a little bit higher on the temperature. And the third one we usually are using to be able to make sure that the entire system is set and being able to recirculate and dropping everything else in gas. On purpose, we're not telling you what the numbers are, but we'll just tell you that we're able to go cold, a little bit warmer, and do some really fascinating extraction out of things that have been novel. So, for example, we deal in the world of molecules. This molecule here is CBD. This molecule here is THC. And a lot of times in the world of hemp, you have CBD, but you don't want any of this. The last thing the government wants is to see that. So you have this one. And what we've been trying to do is throw that away along the way. So this is from a collector number 3. You can see very nicely that this thing is not coming out. So as you well know, CBD is a crystal, or as you don't well know, and then THC is an oil on Earth's atmosphere. But we're not dealing with Earth's atmosphere, and that's what allows us to do some really novel chemistry. This is from collector 2. Not that so much. So we like to deal not in flow rate, not in time. We deal in column volumes, and we deal in enthalpy and entropy. There's nothing like a good delta G or a good delta H. Brighten up your day. And so when we're going back through, what we like to do is we like to know where we are on the curve. Where are we going to extract? Where are we going to have things soluble? Where are we going to drop them out? And that becomes science. Who would have thunk it? And then the second thing is we're making sure that as we're going through that process, because we don't want to show the numbers too long, but we did take numbers and we did test with the Light Lab 3 all the way through the process, so we're able to have 11 cannabinoids and know which ones they are. This was our second collection, and again, I'm not telling you exactly how many column volumes we did, but it was pretty close to 5. And so, again, you're having the CBD come through this one, and this one becomes a little bit more that I'm not going to throw because it is a jar. Even though it's a ball jar, it still can shatter. But this has things that the government really would prefer that you not have in your product, that if you're selling CBD oil. This is our third column volumes, our set of column volumes. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it was close to 8 to 10. And then finally, you'll see the last one. So as you look at this process, you can see which molecules are coming out based on their solubility. There's a lot more CBD. CBD is going to come out a lot more if you're especially starting off with 70% of it. And now you also have been able to capture that. But as you see these two, you can start to see that it's coming out towards the middle. And when we're all done, there's hardly anything left. So that's some of the processes that we've been playing with. Another thing that I really liked about the system, I should open up one of these extractors. I'll choose you. I don't know if I'll choose you, but I guess I'll choose you. All right, so I bring out the extractor. And one of the things that's really nice about the system is the fact of how you can do the different types of collection. So whether you're doing a tornado inside, and this is versus being able to extract all the way down to the bottom and make sure that you're not having any other process that goes through. You're able to just drag straight down to the bottom, spray it out the bottom, do a nebulizer like an electrospray. That's what I've been using for some of the first parts of collection 1. When I'm doing collection 2, I like to use a different type. So not only are we changing conditions and we're changing temperatures and we're changing other facets, we're also changing some of the physics that we're doing inside, and that's part of our secret sauce. The other part that you have, as far as if you're looking at that for cleanup and making sure that you have things that are happening well with clean in place, you also have the ability of knowing that you can release the other parts of your section. And I'll go to the right menu with my glasses off. So inside here, I'm able to drive down the piston on the top and bottom to make sure they're clean for the next run, that there's no overlap, anything that might have dribbled off to the side for some reason or another. Each one of those pieces allows me to have total control of cleaning the entire surface. And again, like we saw with the other one, I can bring this one back in. You feel the click. Move the pass back in place. I can look at this second vessel. And again, assuring that I'm all set for the next run, that everything's clean. But one of the neat things about this is the fact that you're able to use more of the entire system. So it's like this is, part of a system. You can see that this looks very much like this, except it's in my hand. And so when you're doing that process, you have this and you have that. So when they're going together, you have an entire circuit that's straight and nothing is going to go around the outside, and that's the part that gets nebulized. Or I can use this one, or some of the other ones that we've come up with along the way that are helping us make even greater selection. So these are just 2. I'm not showing you some of the others just because I'm not going to. And then the other part of that process is being able to have different types of solutions on the bottom of a collector. So if I'm doing a solid, I'll use one type of thing. If I'm doing a different type of solid, if I'm using things that are more towards a real solid, not even a biomaterial, I'm drying or I'm doing some other things. I have different ways of changing those. And I'm not having to change the entire system. I just change 1 or 2 of the things on the facets. Putting this back in place. Going over to the thing because it already knows that I'm forgetful. So the other part that I like about this is that there's so many other parts that we've taken advantage of. When I take advantage of the entire process, I don't have to worry about the rupture tube. I don't have to worry about carrying around my CO2 monitor to make sure that it doesn't go too high in CO2. Everything is already pre-plumbed through the copper tubing on every rupture disc, every type of facet that goes through, and then it goes out the back. So that comes standard. You're not having to buy those things. And the other part is having heaters and chillers where I'm able to heat or chill each one of these vessels. So the other part that's nice, and I don't know if you can see it because I'm going a little lower, and that is being able on the collection side to reduce the amount of CO2 that I'm going to come in contact with. So at any point in time, I can raise the vessel and being able to reduce any CO2 that I have. That's outside of the parameters of what can I do as far as programming. and recipes. Those are the sort of things you expect. You're going to want to have a recipe, but it's also being able to be connected to the internet. So if you have a multi-state world, or you're trying to have 4 or 5 of these, then you can have a control center where you have all of the different monitors up, knowing what each system is doing at every point in time, what its graphics are doing, what it's doing for pressure, what it's doing for everything else. So everything is totally included. So on that side, whether I'm running anything that has a pictorial to make sure that I have the right pressure, the right temperature, it also won't allow me to make mistakes. And I've tried to make a few mistakes over the last 8 days. I've tried to insert things that it said, I'm sorry, but that theoretically can't happen. You're on the planet Earth, and this is an instrument. So with that, I'll give you a quick, short thought process, and it's been a great 8 days.